This is from The Guardian. May's real plea to the EU saved me from a second referendum. This is from Matthew Diacona. It's Thursday, and so the crisis of the day for Theresa May is a make-or-break meeting with her European Union counterparts in Brussels. Having achieved what can only be described as a humiliating victory last night, 117 of her own MPs voted to get rid of her. The Prime Minister now seeks concessions from the EU that she hopes will make her 585-page withdrawal agreement more palatable to hardline Brexiteers and the 10 Democratic Unionist MPs who prop up her government. Good luck with that, Miss May. Last night, her cabinet supporters, allies is too strong a word, expressed a frankly mysterious level of confidence that she will squeeze from Brussels legally binding reassurances on the proposed backstop mechanism, the device that would keep the UK in the customs union while apparently intractable Irish border issue is resolved. I'm sure that EU will indeed make clear yet again that it sees the backstop as an insurance policy rather than an institutional objective, that it has no desire to use the mechanism any longer than is necessary, and that it will do everything that could be reasonably expected to ensure that the arrangement, if used at all, is short-lived. What Brussels cannot deliver is precisely what the Brexiteers insist upon, a means by which the UK can terminate the backstop unilaterally or impose a clear time limit upon its operation. So barring a pretty extraordinary Le Pen being pulled from the European chapeau tonight, May's Brexit deal will be no more palatable to the Commons tomorrow than it was on Monday, when she proposed a meaningful vote that had been scheduled for the following day. Though the battle ahead has long been framed primarily as a choice between May's deal and a no-deal exit, I think the Prime Minister now believes otherwise, having defined her premiership as a mission to implement the 2016 referendum result. The real threat to her legacy is not Britain crashing out without a deal, much less likely since Tory MP Dominic Grieve's amendment gave the Commons the right to modify government proposals, but as she increasingly puts it, no Brexit at all. This was the phrase she started using as long ago as her October party conference speech, just as the People's Vote campaign began to gather pace. Think for a moment what it would do to faith in our democracy, she said on that occasion, if, having asked the people of this country to take this decision, politicians tried to overturn it. It is another referendum, not a no-deal shambles, that she sees as a clear and present danger. She is right, too. None of the myriad variants of Brexit, her own deal, Norway for now, Canada plus would command a Commons majority. Any dispassionate analysis yields the conclusion that the only way to break this horrendous parliamentary impasse is to go back to the electorate for new instructions. And this, for a prime minister who has gone through 2.5 years of hell to deliver her unloved deal, is the worst prospect of all. Worse even than being sacked by her own MPs. The last referendum destroyed her predecessor, divided the nation, and condemned it to constitutional limbo, which it still languishes. May's true message to her EU colleagues this evening will be, in the name of all that is holy, please don't put us through this again. And that is from The Guardian. Nice and short. Basically, this whole business of Brexit sucks. I thought it sucked from the beginning. I still think it sucks. Like I said yesterday, I think this is British hubris that is in action. They think that they are more important than they actually are. Are you a functioning part of the European Union? Yes, you are. Are you one of the legs that the stool of the EU stands upon? Yes, you are. But what is the EU's place in the world now? Back then, it was you first, well, the United States first, you second, and then Russia third. With the South emerging and the global climate changing, you're fourth. As a European Union, as Europe, you're fourth. And without you being appendage to Europe, you're going to slip down a long way. You might be down there with France if France loses its money from the continent. The blessing of this might be a no deal. Because I said back 2 years ago, if you listen to me, you're not going to get a good deal from the EU. They're pissed. And if you do a no deal exit, you won't recover for another at least 20 years. I mean, this one gives you paying alimony for 10 for the damage that you're doing. And I think the EU wants to teach a lesson to people that want to exit from the EU. So this is not just about the Brits. This is also about the Italians, the Spanish, the Portuguese, the Greeks. The amount that will be extracted and the punishment that will actually be laid in if you try to leave. And I think they sold the British people that this would be a simple matter, just sign some papers and basically you're out and then you can go on about your business. Because in the Brits' mind, they don't need the EU. They don't need to be part of the EU. They can stand alone like they did 100 years ago or 200 years ago. Well, maybe they can, but they're getting ready to find out. But it's something that I wouldn't do if I were them. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of the UK members, my UK subs down in the comments section telling me different. But the proof is in the pudding. Nobody's been able to tell me how the UK is going to survive or actually thrive in this environment where China's taken over and Africa is rising and basically the global South is trying to build and they have no energy or money left over to actually support you. You can't extract money from them anymore. They're using their time, energy, and money for themselves. So you have had an extraction empire for 200 years. What happens when you can't extract anymore? You're not a massive country. You're not a Russia. You're not a China. You're not the United States. Hell, you're not even Brazil. So I don't know if this Brexit was well thought out, but me not being British, I can't tell you. Me not living in the country, I can't tell you. But me from the outside looking in, it's not the smartest thing that they could have done. And I'm sure it was out of sheer desperation because I'm sure there's a lot of smart people that know better than to actually take this on. Unless they had a real good reason. And so far, that real good reason in my mind hasn't surfaced. I have a theory, but nobody said it out loud. But anyway, that's enough for this. This is just my follow-up on yesterday's video. It seems that a lot of what I said in the very beginning is essentially correct. And I probably could go in more detail about this, but I am not. I have gone in detail in the past. So if you want to know what I have said and what I've gone through, hey, do a search from BGS, IBMOR, and Brexit, and I'm sure most of that stuff will come up. Anyway, I'm going to jump off here. This is BGS out, and I'll see you guys on the next one.